All right, you are welcome to another episode of Wiz. We've done quite a lot, but we've only just begun. There's a lot more that we would be exploring using Wiz. So if this is the first time, you are welcome. If this isn't, you are welcome. We're going to go straight to today's business and we will be reviewing our compliance posture. So I'm going to be giving you a list of the things that we'll be doing today. First off, we'll be reviewing our compliance posture. We're going to learn how to export reports, and we're also going to generate a compliance assessment report also. So this is the case scenario for reviewing this compliance posture, and it says that, let's say, while the auditors will be looking at the compliance with several different frameworks, you have been tasked with gathering information for the PCI DSS V4 framework at the moment. But what is PCI DSS V4 before we start? So PCI DSS V4 is like the latest version of security that tells organization how to protect credit and debit card data. So if you store, you process, or you transmit card payment, this standard applies to you. So basically, this is a hands-on lab, right, that I did when I was working with the Risk Cloud Core, which I'm actually done, by the way. I'll be showing you guys my certificate very soon. So we are going to be doing the hands-on right now. And the first thing we're going to be doing here is that we want to, get the list right. We want to gather the information for the PCI DSS V4 framework for now. So a step at a time. So the first thing, that's what we'll be doing. And to do that, we will come over to report. So typically, when you hover on all of those icons, you're supposed to like see them like like it's those icons detail is supposed to like appear before the entire sidebar content displays. Maybe when we start working on an actual, this is a tenant, but just maybe, right? But since this is the lab environment provided by Wiz, I'll just assume that that is the case here. But nonetheless, we can also see that when we hover this, we can see that this is issues. Hover this, we can see that this is threat. Hover in this findings. Looking at the way the icon is, designed, you can easily tell this looks like a telescope. So you can assume that it's finding something. So this is the inventory, this is the explorer, this is policies, this is report, and this is the setting. So right now, like I said, we want the report. We want to review our compliance posture, and the case study is the PCI DSS V4. To do that, the first thing we're going to be doing is to go over to report. So, like I said, the compliance posture. So, you guessed that right. This is where we're coming to the compliance posture. This is quite easy. And right now, because I've done this hands on before, it automatically displays it. But let's say this is your first time, you would not see this PCI DSS before here. So close to framework, you could see something like an assessment, like risk for assessment. And then when okay, this is what you're going to see. So when you're just like visiting the lab for the first time, this is what you're going to see, right? So you just have to come over here, right? And now search for the PCI DSS version 4. So right now is just the ways for risk assessments and see how it looks like. But that's not what we want to do for today. This is what we want to do. So this is what we want, and you just come over here, click on that, and then you can get the list of you know information that is the PCI DSS V4. You come over here, you can expand this and you can click on this. You can just see, different information about each of them. You can also see expand this. You can see this is subscription without CloudWatch. I mean, these are a lot of things, right, that you can check out. This is the second one here. And just knock yourself out here, but this is how you can actually navigate to the PCI DSS for your compliance posture. All right, so the next thing we're going to be doing is how we can export this particular report. So simple and sweet. You will just come over here beside this page, you're going to see save as. So you can come over here and export as a compliance executive PDF. So when you click that, right, this is today's date displaying here, but we will be using a different name for this, and this is the name that we're going to be using, right? This is the user account that I'm operating on. You can see I hovered on that, and that is, I mean, that's my account generated for me, of course. So definitely when you're working on yours, that's not the same thing, but this is my account username version 4 and then the executive summary. So you come over to this, you leave this as the old project, the configuration subscription. You can leave that as the default. Yeah, the compliance framework. So because I've worked on this before, it is right now in PCI DSS v4, but typically it could be in something else, right? You just have to come over to compliance framework and then search for the PCI DSS version 4. Then when you find that, you can now, include that, and you can come over. We're not scheduling yet. We're going to schedule very soon, probably in the next video. But for now, we just want to export. So we've done that. You come over here to the compression, and we're going to disable this. All right. So every other thing we'll be leaving as default for the notification. I mean, obviously, in doing production, we have to enable notification so that you could send an email. But because we're still doing a hands-on lab, there will not be an issue for that. I mean, prior to all the videos that we've done, you can see how we've sent, email notifications and we received it. But for now, that will not be the case. So now that this compression is disabled, you can proceed to creating the report here. Now, this is the past activity that I have done. I created 2 reports previously. You can see the dates that I created those reports. And yeah, so this is recreating our report right now. Okay, so we can see that our report is downloaded. You can come over here to download, and you can come over here to save. I'm saving that in my download, and I can come over here to open to just, see everything, right? This is how it looks like. Very beautiful. I personally like the artwork here. I mean, this feeds your eyes before you even, go into the actual content. So you are good to go. So this is how it's going to look like after you've exported and you have downloaded. So the next thing we are going to be doing before we put a hands down on this particular video is that we're going to create or generate, a compliance assessment report. Okay. And to do that, we are going to be doing this. So let's say for this particular report, the auditors have asked you to focus on your virtual machines, your containers, and your database server to be able to generate a compliance assessment report. This is how you're going to do it. All right, so the first thing you're going to be doing is that we will go to our reports, right? Remember how we did that? But we are not checking for a compliance posture right now. We are going to our saved report, okay? So you come over here to save reports. You can close this. And now that we are now saved report, you can see that here. You come over to create a report. Remember, we are generating a compliance assessment report for our auditors. So you come over to create a report. Now, we look at the page, there's a lot of things that we can do here. There's issues, there's the findings, there's the compliance. And remember, we're generating a what? A compliance assessment report. So we are clicking on this. All right. So the name that we're going to be using for this is, we're going to be using this, right? Our user version 4 compliance assessment. And for scope, we're leaving this as all project. Yeah, this is default, is good to go. So configuration also is good to go. Every other thing can be left as default. We can so for our framework, our compliance framework, we are going to be using the PC, right? This is what we're going to be using, right? The PCI DSS version 4. We're still on that. But for now, we are generating a compliance assessment report. So this is good. For exported columns, the default is okay. So for our filters right now, we're not going to filter for our virtual machines, containers, and our database server. So we will come over to resource, because if you just search for virtual machines, I mean, you're not going to find it, and it's not going to be on the category. It just has to be on the resource type. So when you click on the resource type, then you can now proceed to searching for your virtual machine, and you're going to see that. Yeah, right. So this is a virtual machine that has been added. Secondly, we move on to our containers right here. So this is container that also has been added. And finally, we'll be moving on to our database server, and there it is. So we have been able to add those three. We've added our container, we've added our database server, we also added our virtual machine. What that has been added, we can just proceed to coming over here. Proceed to coming over here. A compression here, we'll leave this as disabled. Okay, because we we don't want to do this, right? So now that that has been kept in disable, every other thing is good in default, then we can come to create report, and that will create our report for our compliance assessment. Yippee, this is only going to take a few minutes, and when this is completely downloaded, you can open up and see how it looks like. Okay, so we can see that that report, that compliance assessment has successfully downloaded. So we can now proceed to download it and save it up, save it up, save it up, save it up, save it up. And then we open this. I'm waiting for this to open, 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 open. All right, so this is how it looks like. Okay, so right, we can see this here. You can see the category, framework, remediation, access A, created as, updated, and yeah, we are good to go. So we've done quite a lot more to go. So if you've stayed with me up, so if you've stayed with me up to the very end of this video, thank you so much. I hope you learned something as much as I did. And the next thing we're going to be working with is that we're going to be creating a scheduled report and also a custom board. See you next time in my next video.